the plan was to salvage these blanks because they have the pigment pockets, and that's just not going to work. It would require too much like CA because we'd have to dig out some of the stuff. But there is a way we could salvage them, and this is what I'm doing right now. So the plan was to trim the outside off because you have to get the mold release off of the outside of the blank because you don't want that going into the resin when you're trying to cast something new. So I had to get the outside turned away to make that happen. So I used the metal lathe to accomplish this. And the next step is to cut them into tiny little discs. That way I can break them. And a very tedious process. And I had to cut many of these blanks. Many meaning like maybe 10 or so. So I got about 10 of these trimmed down like that, and then turned into the biscuits. So this is just the very first wave of these that I had to get done. I'm getting all the little bits of dust off. You saw the little stuff from the bandsaw, all the white stuff there. It was from cutting it with such a fine toothed bandsaw blade. It should have less teeth per inch, but that's a different problem. So this is my rock smasher, and my goal was to put them in there and smash them into pieces to about quarter size pieces, quarter of the size that they are, and it's a lot harder than I expected it to be. And so it took me a good 30 minutes or so just to get this first set. And not that part, but just the first set of all the discs getting broken up into quarter pieces. And don't want any of those running away because so much effort goes into getting just a little bit. So I then poured into a cup. That was the fruit of that bit of labor. So I knew that I had to get a lot more. And so this is just, yeah, that's just from the 2 blanks that I had cut initially. I'm getting all the pieces that are just too big out right now because I want to break them up a little bit more. And so I'm testing the amount to see how much I need in order to fill these cavities. These molds are 5, I think they're 5 1/4 by 1 by 1, but I'm not positive. And this is the fruit of all the labor that I put in so far. You can kind of see that some of them are also dirty because they flew out. So my plan was to sift them with my wife's like tea strainer. Very tedious process. It probably wasn't worth doing, hindsight, but I did it anyway. I get going faster here. But yeah, there's quite a few pieces, so definitely definitely got the pieces that I need. At least for a couple good blanks. You'll see here in a second some of the stuff that I was trying to get rid of. I didn't want those things like floating or causing any issues in the resin when we poured it. So that's what we got so far. And the next step is to take it to the ultrasonic cleaner. And I'm going to clean them because I don't want... I'm still trying to get any residual stuff off, if there is anything. Which, again, it's probably a step that I wouldn't do again because I don't think it was actually worth doing. But I wanted to be as thorough as possible because of how long it took to crush all those little pieces. And these aren't really wanting to move around, so I help them. And then obviously resin does not like water, or it reacts poorly when you have it with water. And so I have to get all the pieces out and dried off. And to do that, I used a paper towel and a gallon Ziploc bag. I just wanted to try and shake it all off as best I could because I'm going to be leaving it to dry for a couple days in that tub. So once it's all dry, I gave all the fruit of my labors to Abby, and she put them... We had talked about doing them a certain way, and we wanted to do it half white and half black because we didn't really know what the contrast would look like. We just wanted to pack it all in. So you can see that we have a little bit more, or a couple more molds, and the one on the left there is if we had a little extra resin or material. And it turns out that we did quite a bit more. And we use a 3 by 5 by 1 mold. But the plan was to get at least 4 blanks out of this. And we're using Alumilite Clear Slow, which has an open time of, I think it was 15 minutes. And because it was a little chilly in the garage, the chemical reaction's kind of slow to take place. So a heat gun is used to facilitate the chemical reaction. You want to make sure that you mix A and B until the resin is clear. Otherwise you might get a bad cast because they didn't mix up properly. But in the past we have poured the resin into the molds, and then we put whatever inclusions that we were going to in, and that resulted in some bubbles. So our solution to that is we're going to be pouring the resin into the shattered pieces, and then we're going to mix it up, and hopefully that will take care of all the bubbles. At least most of the bubbles, if not all of them. So we got the white pigment. We get our pigments from all kinds of places, but the liquid pigments that we use are from Divine Island. Braxton over there's good dude, and his wife, good people. And We got the black. We wanted to make sure that the black and the white colors were opaque enough to where you couldn't see through it. We didn't want it translucent at all. We wanted it very much opaque. That way, the only colors it would show would be from the pieces that were cut away. So, hindsight again, one of the learning experiences that we had was when we turned this, or when we made this, Abby put too much of the liquid portion of the resin in, and the problem with that was, well, you'll see a little later, but we would do it differently in the future. If we do it again. We might. Turned out really cool. But we don't know that yet. So yeah, we were able to fill up both of those and still have a little extra resin. She's waiting for the resin to get hotter to make for better color separation. And these two on the right, it didn't really matter color separation wise. But because we're going to be doing black and white, and the other one, you want them to swirl, and you need the resin to be more viscous in order to facilitate the best swirling possible. Trying to get some more of the shattered pieces inside. Some of the resin got onto the floor, and she was calling for paint thinner, but we use denatured alcohol typically to clean up messes on the floor. But it's still a liquid, so it's not really that big of a concern at this point. The priority is taking care of the blanks. And the mold's a little shallow, so a nice innovative way to get some more resin. Gotta play with the cards that you're dealt. But yeah, you can see the color separation is a little nicer as well. Abby's favorite, hearing suggestions. So those molds just went over to the pressure pot, and we'll get back over there here in a second. Just wanted to, well, we couldn't really move the camera because of what was happening here. And she's trying to scrape as much as she can. It's not the way, but it is a way. And there we are. We're in the pot. And obviously, the time has gone by. This is the next day, and I'm taking them out of the molds. And I think they look really awesome. Anyway, that was the making of the shattered blanks. I have 2 things that I made out of it, and I will put those in the description. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, and I hope you learned something along with me here, because we had never done this before, but it was a good time. Let us know what you think.